Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in and checking out my latest video. So today's video, guys, is going to be talking about Mikey Garcia versus Adrien Broner taking place in Brooklyn, New York. This fight, in my opinion, has a war written all over it. It's going to be a great fight, I believe. So definitely do not miss this encounter. Now, in this video, guys, if you're not familiar with the channel, I'm going to talk about some of Mikey Garcia's skills. I'm going to talk about Adrien Broner's skills, and ultimately, I'm going to pick who wins this matchup. Now, when I look at this fight, let's first start off with Adrien Broner and what he brings into this encounter. So, when looking at this fight, Adrien Broner is a guy who, outside of the ring, has his legal issues, has training issues in the past. But inside of the ring, this is a guy who's a very skilled fighter. When I look at Adrien Broner as a fighter, this is a guy who has hand speed, vicious uppercuts, occasional body work, uses his jab to find his range. Straight right hand, a very effective, accurate puncher, Adrien Broner as well. And Broner is a rugged fighter who has excellent heart and can take a punch as well. We've seen that in multiple encounters in the past. When we look at the Sean Porter fight, for example, Adrien Broner throughout that fight was losing. Late in that fight, he dropped Sean Porter. Then we go back to Marcos Maidana, who was kicking Adrien Broner's ass throughout that whole fight, pretty much. But the last 3 rounds of that fight, Adrien Broner really went after Marcos Maidana, and Maidana survived that fight, but Adrien Broner's really given him that work late in that matchup. So Broner's a guy, you can question him outside of the ring, but inside of the ring, this guy has a ton of heart and is a vicious fighter in terms of his mentality. Now, when I look at Mikey Garcia in this matchup, Mikey Garcia is a guy who likes to heavily work off his jab. When you see him in previous fights, he'll sometimes jabs 30 times a round, 40 times a round. So he's a guy who likes to dictate the fight with that jab. Mikey Garcia also is a very diverse puncher, throwing that straight right hand. He'll throw the left hook at you, throw uppercuts. He'll do some body work, give you some feints. Mikey Garcia can also counter punch. And defensively, he likes to stick out his lead hand, kind of use that as a weapon to see where the fighter coming at him is going to be. And then defensively, he figures out what maneuver he wants to do to counter his opponent and be in safe distance, things of those nature. So he's a very good, smart fighter who is sound defensively and also has a very high ring IQ. So he does a lot of things very well, very balanced fighter in my opinion. When you look at Mikey Garcia, very dedicated outside of the ring. Now, when I talk about some storylines for this fight, we have to first start off with there's a few questions I'm going to be having for Mikey Garcia. For example, I want to see how Mikey Garcia moving up in weight, how his power affects Adrien Broner. If Mikey's power is effective as it was in the earlier weight classes, where he obviously was having an effect on opponents he faced. Now, if you go by guys like Brandon Rios and Marcos Maidana, who sparred Mikey back in the day, they'll tell you that basically his power when he moves up is going to be very effective for him, and there's nothing to worry about. Mikey's the truth, no matter what. So that's going to be interesting to see in this encounter, in my opinion. Also, I believe I want to see how Mikey Garcia looks if this fight goes into the later rounds. Because remember, Mikey Garcia, yes, he did come back on the Carl Frampton and Leo Santa Cruz rematch, but he only got a handful of rounds in. So you got a guy like Adrien Broner who is used to doing tough, rugged rounds, facing adversity, whereas a guy in Mikey Garcia who hasn't had these type of serious rounds in years, and I think that may affect Mikey big time in this encounter. So with no further ado, guys, I want to get into the advantages both of these guys have in this encounter. Now, looking at what Adrien Broner has advantage-wise in this fight, I believe he has a better hand speed than Mikey Garcia. I also believe that physically he may be a little stronger than Mikey Garcia, just in my opinion from the build. I think Adrien Broner may have an advantage in that. Also, Broner, I believe, has faced the better competition slightly of the two, in my opinion. And it's not necessarily just the names on his resume. It's more so the adversity and the heart that he's shown in some very tough and grueling encounters. So I think that if it goes to later rounds in this fight, I'd favor Adrien Broner in terms of maybe durability-wise in this matchup. Because Broner is a guy who is mindful of the amount of punches he throws during a fight, which also I'm going to get to later is a key factor, though, as well. Something that I don't like in the skill set that Adrien Broner has. However, I do give a slight edge to Adrien Broner competition-wise, fighting guys like Sean Porter, Paulie Malignaggi, and also Marcos Maidana, of course. Now, when I look at Mikey Garcia and the advantages he has in this fight, Mikey Garcia is a much more active fighter than Adrien Broner, in my opinion. I also believe that Mikey Garcia is a more diverse fighter, meaning that he has a better ring IQ. He can do more things in this matchup than Adrien Broner is capable of. He's a better counter puncher, for example. He uses a better punch variety. He's more accurate. His jab is better. Things of that nature. So I believe that in this type of a counter, that is a huge advantage for Mikey Garcia in this fight. And also, there's never any question about commitment outside of the ring for Mikey Garcia. He'll be coming in good shape as usual. We know he put in a lot of work. He doesn't have the same type of distractions outside of the ring that Adrien Broner has. Now, looking at picking a winner for this fight, guys, in this matchup, I think it's going to go down like the following. I think that Mikey Garcia is going to get quite a big lead, but say around round 9, I think that Adrien Broner is really going to put a late push on and really test Mikey Garcia, and that's where the fight is going to become pretty crazy, in my opinion, because I think that Mikey is going to have to use a lot of activity, some movement, and things of that nature against Broner early, so his stamina is going to be in top condition, really, if he wants to beat Broner. However, I think it's going to leave him a little tired at the end of this fight, and he's going to have to stand and trade with Broner at times. And that's what Adrien Broner wants in this fight, in my opinion. And that is a big factor for this fight. Everyone is counting out Adrien Broner in this matchup, but late, I believe Adrien Broner is going to have some huge success in this fight. And it's going to be kind of Mikey Garcia surviving the Ann Bell, in my opinion, similar to Marcos Maidana fight. So ultimately, guys, however, in saying that, I am going to pick Mikey Garcia in this matchup just because I feel he brings a little more to the table with ring IQ and punch selection, things of that nature. I believe he's just a little bit better technically than Adrien Broner is in this fight. And ultimately, it's a history of Broner. You don't know what you're going to get with Broner. That's another big thing in my pick. Mikey Garcia is consistent for that from what we've seen. Even though he has activity questions and moving up in weight, I still think Adrien Broner is a hell of a fighter. And do not sleep on Adrien Broner in this matchup, because something else that Broner does very well is he has very low punch output, like I was saying, but all of a sudden this guy will pop out and throw a 6-punch combination out of nowhere. So he's sneaky with that kind of attack, and Mikey's got to be aware of that because Broner's caught a lot of opponents off guard in the past. So definitely do not sleep on Broner in this fight. I could definitely see how he could pull out the upset win in this matchup. It's definitely not a landslide like Mikey Garcia and other people are saying it's going to be, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a real tough fight for Mikey, and it's going to make both of these guys a better fighter, in my opinion. Ultimately, though, I'm picking Mikey Garcia, unanimous decision in this matchup. Let me know what you guys think on this fight, who you have winning this matchup, and what method they're going to win this fight. Thank you guys once again for tuning in and checking out the video.